Hello, my name is Andrea Fernanda and I'm a high school student and I'm going to talk about the Cold War. The Cold War rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union lasted for the decades and resulted in an anti-communism, suspicious and international incidents that led the two superpowers to the brink of nuclear disaster. Historians do not fully agree on dates, but a common time frame is the period between 1947, the year of the Truman Doctrine, a USA foreign policy pledging the eight nations threatened by a Soviet expansion, was announced, and either 1989, when communism fell in Eastern Europe, or 1991, when the Soviet Union collapsed. More or less, that are the dates. The term Cold is used because there was no large-scale fighting directly between the two sides, but they each supposed major regional wars known as the proxy wars. I'm going to explain you what is capitalism, that it's the main power in United States, and the ideology, of course. It refers to the people that need freedom. When people compete against one another, they achieve greater things. Some people have more than others because they make better use of their abilities. Government should not interfere with the rights of individuals to make their own living. And also that the government should interfere in the economy as little as possible. It was Adam Smith who noticed that the mercantilism was not a force of development and charge, but a regressive system that was creating trade imbalances between nations and keeping them from the advancing. His ideas for a free market opened the world to capitalism. Now I'm going to explain socialism, that it's part of the Soviet Union. It was a system of government in totalitarian. Property is owned by the state. No free enterprise distribute. Education and health care provided by the state. Press control and owned by the state. Classless society, all members of society are considered to be equal. Focus is in the progress of the community as a whole. And the socialism was developed by the ideas of Karl Marx and Frederick Engels and became popular among the workers of Russia due to the many difficulties experienced through Tsarist rule. The ideology of socialism is that people need one to other. When people work together as equal, they achieve greater things, and no one should have more than anyone else. Everybody's needs are equally and important, and also the government should make sure that everyone's needs are being met, and there is a central control of the economy. Okay, and now with all this information, I'm going to do an interview to one of my favorite professors of history and social science. His name is Francisco Morales, and he has 46 years, and he doesn't speak English, so I'm going to try to pass it to English, okay? So this is my first question. What countries were the world leaders during this period?
Me preguntas qué países fueron los líderes mundiales durante este periodo. En la Guerra Fría, bueno, obviamente estaba Estados Unidos del lado de los países capitalistas y la Unión de Repúblicas Socialistas Soviéticas del lado de los países socialcomunistas. La mayor parte de ellos, bueno, aglutinaba otro grupo importante de partidarios, tanto socialistas como capitalistas, los cuales, bueno, obviamente se encontraban al principio de cada una de estas potencias, ¿no? Tenemos, por ejemplo, a Francia, Inglaterra, que habían sido socios de Estados Unidos y que al mismo tiempo seguían perteneciendo al bloque capitalista. Del otro lado tenemos a China, o por mencionar los países del bloque oriental que empezaban a crecer dentro de Europa.
Okay. He said that the main powers were in the United States, of course, the Soviet Union, France, that was allied with the United States, and that were the main, okay? Why did countries who were allies during the wars become enemies afterwards?
Los países que fueron aliados durante la Gran Guerra y durante la Segunda Guerra Mundial se convirtieron en enemigos precisamente porque tenían la intención plena de fraguar quién estaría al frente del poderío militar tras la caída de Japón, pues si bien después de la Primera Guerra Mundial Japón había dejado de ser una hegemonía, Japón había sido una hegemonía, tras la Segunda Guerra Mundial había decaído su poderío, sobre todo porque estuvo del lado, pues si se le quiere observar, el lado equivocado, del lado de los nazis, que bueno, fueron los grandes perdedores en la Segunda Guerra Mundial. Entonces, finalmente se estaba prefigurando un escenario óptimo para el desarrollo quizás sostenible, porque pues algunas personas lo han comentado en su momento, historiadores también, de una tercera guerra mundial, pero finalmente pues era la hegemonía política la que tendría que pesar sobre ellos. Del lado capitalista, volvemos a reiterar, el lado capitalista de los Estados Unidos de Norteamérica, y del lado comunista pues se erigía como gran ganadora la Unión Soviética.
Okay, he said that they were allies, but then they became into enemies because they were trying to govern all the world. They were trying to figure it out who was going to be the new ruler with the fall of Japan during the World War I. So that's why they were fighting against each other because they want to rule all the world. The third question is, where did the Cold War take place?
¿Dónde tuvo lugar la Guerra Fría? Bueno, la Guerra Fría tuvo lugar en todas partes del mundo, pero obviamente tuvo un poco más de peso en algunos continentes, por ejemplo en el continente europeo, cuando se inicia el expansionismo por parte de la Unión Soviética en la Segunda Guerra Mundial y se consolida con los tratados de Yalta, por ejemplo, en donde quedan varios estados satélites flotando cerca del centro de Europa. Y bueno, más adelante con la creación de la OTAN, entonces encontramos dentro de Europa una gran cantidad de eventos relacionados a la Guerra Fría, sobre todo, bueno, los países orientales y los países de la OTAN, sobre todo en Alemania y su fracturación, la división que van a tener en los dos bloques, la creación del muro de Berlín, por ejemplo. En el lado de Asia, bueno, también va a suceder exactamente lo mismo, la creación de la Comecon y distintos escenarios donde también se está prefigurando un ambiente bélico. En el Antártico también, con los famosos submarinos bordeando las zonas de Canadá o del lado de la Unión Soviética. Y bueno, por supuesto en América encontramos muchos ejemplos. Uno de los más importantes, pues por supuesto, es el caso de Cuba y la crisis de los misiles en la época de Kennedy y Castro.
Okay, as he said, it was not a specific place because the Cold War was all around the world. Every country was having their own trouble, and everybody was, I don't know, like building the walls. For example, in Korea, that was the North Korea and South Korea, the Wall of Berlin that separate Germany into two parts. And all of these, for example, the independence of Cuba, as he said, the crisis of John Kennedy. So these all events were part of the Cold War, but in a specific, it doesn't have a specific place, but it took place in United States, of course, and in the Soviet Union. Okay, my last question is, what type of weapons Oh no, what opinion did the general public have of the Cold War?
La opinión de la gente en general en relación a la Guerra Fría, pues obviamente era de incertidumbre, pensaban que de un momento a otro se iban a lanzar bombas en cualquier momento, relacionado precisamente a la última pregunta. Pues las bombas eran bombas nucleares, de hidrógeno, un armamento cada vez más sofisticado y con intenciones de destruir absolutamente todo, o la intención de por lo menos crear un grave daño al enemigo en su parte humana. Todo el mundo va a pensar que en cualquier momento el famoso teléfono rojo va a sonar y era necesario lanzar bombas atómicas de un lado a otro, es decir, de la Unión Soviética a Estados Unidos, Japón, China, Cuba, en donde pues la catástrofe hubiera sido gigantesca y sin proporciones inimaginables, ¿no? Completamente épicas. Las bombas atómicas estuvieron presentes en la isla de Cuba cuando estuvieron a punto de ser lanzadas a Estados Unidos, de la parte de Florida, toda la parte del Océano Atlántico, y que bueno, de una manera u otra, pues todo mundo estaba inmerso en esta grave paranoia, ¿no? Volvemos a una de las preguntas anteriores. La mayor parte de las personas van a empezar a crear búnkers, sobre todo en Estados Unidos, pensando que podrían llegar a salvarlos en caso de un cataclismo. Y bueno, finalmente, pues gracias a Dios, no sucedió nada de esto, aunque sí estuvimos en algún momento muy álgido en los gobiernos, vuelvo a reiterar, de Khrushchev, de Castro y de Kennedy.
Okay, in this question, he just mixed our two last question, that was what the people think about and what type of guns did the superpowers the great powers use in this part. So he said that they mainly use atomic bombs, nuclear bombs, chemical machines, and the people was really confused. They don't know what to think. They were scared because they don't know in which moment the bombs were going to explode. So that's why they were like in shock, and they don't know what to think about. Okay, my conclusion is the next. It marked all of the conflicts that developed between the 50s and the 90s. Divide the world into two blocks, Western and Eastern. The first encompassed with a few powers of all America, Western Europe of most of the Oceania, as well as South Korea, Japan, and Taiwan. The Eastern Bloc comprised Eastern Europe, China, Cuba, and several countries in Africa and Southeast Asia. These two blocks were well defined, were totally antagonism, since they differed from the ideological, political, military, and more markedly in the economic field. These political blocs were divided into capitalism countries, badly called the Western, led by the US, opposed to the socialist countries, named the East. Led by the USSR, in turn to the opposing blocs formed around the large political military influence fields and dragged the other countries of the globe. The conflict shook the political movements and, or directly and indirectly, military actions. What differentiates the Cold War from any previous military and diplomatic contest is that the two opposing superpowers, of course the USA and the Soviet Union, never clashed directly, using their armed forces against each other, but instead taking advantage of them, regional conflicts between the Allies and the third countries, which were not directly in the war, and intervening in these conflicts, even helping one of two sides and sending military aid, or economic or political support to the different kinds depending of the country, and the situation, strategic or political region.